The Matt Painter Show. Here is your host, Rob Blackman.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome. We are at Walk-Ons tonight for a special Tuesday night edition of the Matt Painter Radio Show. I am Rob Blackman, and I thank you for rearranging your calendar to join us here on a Tuesday night. Of course, we couldn't do the show on our regular time slot on Monday because, well, the Boilermakers were in East Lansing yesterday, Monday, beating the Michigan State Spartans by a final score of 64-63, and that's why we moved the show to a Tuesday night. So thank you for readjusting your listening habits to join us here tonight. Matt Painter Show is brought to you, as always, by GEMCO Constructors, a proud supporting sponsor of Purdue Boilermaker basketball. We do have a lot to talk about tonight over the next 55 minutes. That does, of course, include talking to Coach Painter about that win yesterday over the Michigan State Spartans that I was just mentioning. Also, we'll talk about the Friday night win over the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Purdue winning at Mackey Arena in that one 73-55. Purdue is ranked third in the country this week in the Associated Press poll, and with yesterday's win, Purdue now 17-1 overall and 6-1 in Big Ten play. But the schedule does certainly not get any easier because coming up Thursday, Purdue is right back on the road facing the Minnesota Golden Gophers at Williams Arena for a 7 o'clock tip, so we will talk to the coach about that. If you'd like to visit with Coach Painter tonight, we'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 1-888-246-2678, 1-888-246-2678 if you'd like to join Coach Painter. And also, a special thanks to those of you who are checking us out via the video medium tonight, whether that maybe is on Twitter or Facebook or the YouTube pages, whichever way you may be checking us out via video. If you do check in doing it that way, please let us know where you're watching us from, because we certainly like to know which part of the world you're checking out Boilermaker basketball from. So lots to talk about tonight. With that, let's take a break so we can get right to visiting with head coach Matt Painter. This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Off the foul against Joey Hauser, there's a foul on Michigan State as we went to the timeout. Purdue has it, and there is Fletcher Lawyer to can a three.
That he can do. That dribble, hey, blew it up. Nice play.
So now they have to scramble it to Morton with four. Inside, Edey listened to the crowd and scored.
How about that fine?
He ends up with the ball back. Sissoko couldn't clear it. Morton rummaging down the lane. Edey the follow. It was off the cylinder.
Well, they've had a few of those mistakes. Got to stop dribble drive if you're Purdue.
Another good look there.
Goodness,
Between the legs.
what's he going to do?
Lawyer wants three. He's got it.
How tough is that? And when Gillis is in, terrific offensive rebound. How about this? The poise, the balance, the delivery.
Walker splits two. Edey redirects it.
How about that? Whew. That baby hook doesn't work around that guy.
And the length, too. Trailing the play. Smith lobs it for Edey, the smack.
On both ends of the floor, that little hesitation, the pause every. Purdue forces you in some tough shots. Same play as earlier. Say goodnight.
Edey, good night.
Goodness. Two big time. Pause at the rim.
10 seconds to go. Lawyer, the freshman, into the post. Edey gets to the rim and scores. 2 seconds to go. Purdue by one.
Just a great look by Lawyer. You got to hug him. Great opening to the passing lane. And Lawyer is a great post passer, too. Of course, the target's formidable. The pass to the correct hand drops.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO. We are live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. One quick programming note, of course, this is a Tuesday night, but next week we'll get back on our regular Monday night schedule, 6 o'clock Monday night here at Walk-Ons, and then we'll be on a Monday night schedule for the rest of the season with Purdue basketball and the Matt Painter Radio Show. Coach Painter is alongside. If you'd like to visit with the coach, the phone number is 1-888-246-2678. And Coach Painter, I will start the show with this. Congratulations with the win Friday night when you picked up career win number 400 as the head coach here at Purdue. You have joined a very elite group. 400 wins at one Big Ten school. Congratulations.
Thank you. Obviously, it was a great win for us after having a really tough time in Lincoln, and our guys, obviously stepped up and made some shots and put ourselves in a good position. But no, we've had a lot of really good players and coaches in the last 18 years, and it's made it really enjoyable.
And by the way, with yesterday's win at Michigan State, now 200 Big Ten wins for Coach Painter. Only 7 coaches in the conference can claim that. So it's been a really good run here for the head coach of our Boilermakers. Let's talk about yesterday's game. That was a typical Big Ten bruiser.
Right.
And you came out on top. Congrats on that one.
Thank you. For us, we started off the game pretty well. I thought we defended. Michigan State was, careless with the basketball to start the game, stepped out of bounds, threw the ball to somebody twice without looking. They actually got both of those back. But just, we were in a position because they weren't sharp to start the game, and then we were making some shots, and obviously they were staying one-on-one with Zach. But then, we got real stagnant after that. we got some good looks after going back and watching the game. I liked the shot. Zach had 2 or 3 point blank ones. We had some open looks, and we just weren't able to push the lead. We felt like we should have been up, 6 to 10 points at halftime, and we weren't. Obviously, Braden got in a little bit of foul trouble. Fletch got in a little bit of foul trouble. But I thought our guys hung in there. Obviously, Fletcher played really well down the stretch. Zach had a really good game, even though I think he missed the most shots that he's ever missed in a game with 13. And, about half of those shots are shots that he just normally makes. And he really would have had a career night. But, he gives us a weapon to go to down low. But I really thought that, Fletcher's play down the stretch really helped us, kind of put us in that position to pull that game out.
You bring up a great point. You had that early foul trouble with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, so that meant extended minutes for David Jenkins Jr. and Brandon Newman, and
right.
I think both really answered the bell for you.
Yeah, no question. I thought, David did a good job. We had Ethan picking up the basketball because Hogarth is so good with it pushing, and Michigan State's always been really good at pushing the basketball and scoring in transition. And then we were bringing David in right there to try to slow them down there also when we took Ethan out. But I thought he did a good job. I thought Brandon did a good job defending. We had him in there a lot at the end of the game, and I thought he really committed to it and did some good things for us.
Let's get to the phones for the first time tonight. Again, the number is 1-888-246-2678. And we will start with Drew in Raleigh calling in. Drew, welcome to the show. You're on with Coach Painter.
Thanks for taking my call. Coach, even though I'm sure you still lose sleep over the losses, congrats again on your 200th Big Ten win and 400th overall at Purdue since the last show.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions for you. You've played teams that have given some brief zone looks in Minnesota and Duke, a lot of just throwing the kitchen sink at Zach and forced you to shoot the 3. And yesterday, you faced a scheme, presented a lot of one-on-one matchups most of the game for Zach, but seemed to be really aimed at taking away outside shooting and some of the offensive rebounding opportunities.
There you go.
I know you work on all these schemes in practice, but how valuable is it to get so many different defensive looks in live games to really allow the team to be adaptable come the NCAA tourney when you might play teams that have really contrasting styles one game to the next if you can advance? And then I have one more question. Just past 2 years and prior to his back injury, Mason Gillis has been one of the most efficient players in all of college basketball. I know everybody wants to play more minutes, but can you just speak to the luxury it is to have a guy who started 56 games in his career coming off the bench right now and being able to interchange him and Caleb based on the matchups that you have? Thanks as always. Good luck at the barn and boiler up.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a real luxury, and that's what you try to do with your non-conference schedule. The majority of your non-conference schedule you control. Obviously, who you play in the ACC, Big Ten Challenge, and the Gavitt games you don't. But getting a lot of different looks, whether it's a zone press or a zone or someone who's going to trap or someone who's going to double the post or anything that they do with Zach really helps you, because you can't. I always say in practice you coach both teams, but in games you coach one team. So you can control your practice. Once the game starts, there's not a lot of things that you can control, and things can get out of whack really easily. But seeing a lot of different looks and being able to adjust to those different looks, I think has really helped us, because I think we've seen about everything in terms of how they deal with Zach especially. But it is a great luxury to have Mason. And Mason is, he's coming off the bench for us, but he's really a starter. And him and Caleb, Caleb played more in the last game. I stuck with him a little bit more just because of his size. I thought we needed more size. It was just the way they played. But Mason is an unbelievably efficient offensive player and gives us good looks. He can knock down threes. He gets the ball inside. He knows what we're running. And so it's a weapon. It's no different, when you have guys that have played. Brandon Newman has played a lot. He scored a lot as a freshman, but he's been in a lot of games. David Jenkins is, pretty close to scoring 2,000 points.
Right.
And he's 24 years old. He's been around the block. He's, so when you have those guys coming off, Trey Kaufman's going to be a star. He's going through a little bit of a rut right now. And he's gotten some bad calls and just not been able to get going. And then plus, obviously, he backs up Zach. And when Zach's rolling, sometimes it's hard to take him out. But really like our bench and like what they provide. They're all guys that could play more minutes, that could start, and that's just the luxury of having a really good team. You're going to have a lot of those guys, and that's what really helps you, put yourself in a position to hopefully win a championship and do a lot of damage in the NCAA tournament, that you can go deep and you have guys with that kind of experience in case somebody gets into foul trouble or they just play well and they're going to play more. And I think that's the key, is just, those listen and staying positive and helping each other out.
Thank you for the phone call. This is the Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO. We'll be back after this on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.